You good? Hey, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Turn my mic on. Come on. There we go. Yes, you. Okay, moved by Councillor Kotick, second by Councillor Hudson, resolved that the special meeting commence at the hour of 6:31 p.m. And be it further resolved that council acknowledges that we are meeting in the Robinson Spirit Treaty area on lands that have been traditionally used by several Indigenous nations, but we would like to pay special recognition to our closest Indigenous neighbors, the community Bigigon Nishnabek and Netsigazamek Nishnabek First Nations. We wish to recognize the long history of the First Nations and Métis people in our region specifically and show respect to them today. All in favor? Hey. Carrie. Okay, are there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof? Seeing none. Approval of the agenda. Moved by Councillor Hudson, second by Councillor Kotick, resolved that the agenda be approved as circulated. All in favor? Carried. Delegations, presentations? No business. Moved by Councillor Kotick, second by Councillor Hudson, resolved that administration report PR 2025-03 submitted by Aaron McGregor, treasurer, regarding the 2025 budget consultation interim survey results. Welcome, Ms. McGregor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everyone. So before you is a report outlining the results of our public consultation efforts thus far. We've included a copy of the submissions that have been received through our survey. And in the report is a summary of some of the comments that we received. We tried to touch on some of the areas where there were questions that people wanted answers for. If there are any specific questions from the council table about the report, I'd be happy to answer them before we move into whatever is next on the agenda as far as the public consultation piece.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Cody?
Through the chair, no, the only comment I have is that it would have been nice to have seen more than 26 participants. That's about it. Thanks.
Okay. So no, unless you want to hit on some highlights or.
Sure. So through you, Mr. Chair, just responding to the last comment. Yes, 26 participants were the total valid responses provided to the survey. So while there was a disapproval of 69% for the operating budget, it was heavily based on the ideas around taxation and tuition and how people feel that an increase to taxes is difficult, and of course we certainly understand. As I outlined in the report, a common assumption that we saw in the survey results is Manitowoc is a small community, therefore the taxes should be small. It's not quite so simple. We are a remote community with full services. We do offer a significant complement to services such as garbage collection, recycling, the maintenance of roads, fire services. There's a long list of the services that the municipality provides and funds. And there's more information in the attached slideshow to this report that was presented at the June 26th public consultation meeting. Moving into some of the feedback other than just the general unhappiness with taxes going up, that is to be expected. The recreation center project was asked about, and the roof replacement, as I mentioned in the report, it's a major project. We have seen some delays associated with that construction. So it was hoped that it would be completed last construction season, but they are wrapping up the roof project, and we expect that to be complete for 2025. as well as some work on our entrances to the rec center. So additional phases will follow in 2026, inside the building. Another question related to rec center was the pool. Right now, the fate of the pool is uncertain. It is being explored. Remediation and reopening of the pool would require significant capital and operating allocations. So again, discussions are ongoing, but we don't have an answer at this time. There was one really good question about municipal extraterritorial tax act. It's a piece of legislation that applies to the mines at the corner of 614 and 17. The question was essentially, are we realizing revenue under that act? We are. We do. Every year we receive from the ministry correspondence that tells us what the split of employment is at those properties. And on that basis, we, the communities in the area levy taxes on those properties. Angela and Ebig Avenue is a specific area highlighted as a pain point as far as road condition. It is identified as a high use road in poor condition, and we do, it is a priority road that we are hoping to have major repairs or replacement done in 2 to 3 years. Budget priority privatization options around recreation services was mentioned, and one thing that I wanted to highlight is that we do monitor privatization options, but it's difficult because there are often not business cases for privatization, and there's always pros and cons associated with privatization. MyRide was addressed, so MyRide is completely funded by grant revenue. However, I think that the question around MyRide was prompted by our interim budget variance reports for 2023 and 2024. And if memory serves, without looking at them, they did show a surplus. But that's just because of year-end revenue recognition adjustments that are yet to be completed as we move through the 2023, 2024 audit processes. With respect to 2022, we do have a presentation date from the auditor. That will be July 30th. We plan to pull for a special meeting. Accounts receivable and property tax collection. So essentially, are we collecting the taxes or do we have a lot of delinquent accounts? I can't give a quantitative answer right now, but there will be a report that will follow, as it does every year, which presents to council the status of collection and seeks permission for moving to arrears registration and tax sale processes. So we will report back on that. As far as the commentary that we could increase penalties on outstanding receivables, we cannot increase penalties on property tax because that's regulated by the province. Currently charged the maximum allowable rate for property tax, which is 15% per year. We do have some flexibility in miscellaneous account receivables, however, those represent a very small amount of our revenue and of our receivables, so. Grant funding, there was one significant piece of feedback that made some statements around suggestions that Mannings Wedge is not applying for grant funding, which is patently false. We have $5.4 million on our capital budget for 2025 from grant funding providers. In some or many cases, when we have major grant projects, we are not able to announce until the funding provider gives us permission to announce. So sometimes our hands are tied with respect to the amount of information we can share around grant funding. So please bear with us and look at the report and see that there's $5.4 million budgeted for 2025, which represents grants that are open projects. Finally, I guess this isn't very high level. I kind of read the whole report. Long-term borrowing was an item that was asked about, which is what's the plan for that as far as repayment and repayment timeline. So ultimately, it would be taxation that pays it back. It would become an expense that's budgeted through the budget process, just like any other expenses that we have. We do have limits as far as borrowing. Our annual repayment limit would be 25% of our own source revenue. So there are rules and restrictions around repayments, and as far as the timeline goes, the best practice is to match the financing timeline with the lifespan of the asset that you'd be financing. So for example, if you completed a major road renovation project that required debt and the road had an expected life of 25 years, you would want to finance that over 25 years. That's the best practice, or a common best practice anyway, but analysis will take place prior to taking, of course, as far as what options we have at the time. That's the report. So if there's any follow-up questions, I'd be happy to take it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I just want to comment on, I think it was the announcement of the grants that you, like you say. And I actually followed up with Bill Rootstrom when he was in town, our MPP. And he says, as soon there will be announcements of it. No set date. So, you know, that's the way they work. Any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you very much. Great job. I know it was a lot of work. Okay, we'll move on.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Okay, and further that council receives a 2025 budget consultation and term survey results, report and attachments for information. All in favor? Carried. Okay, next item. Okay, moved by Councillor Kotick, second by Councillor Hudson. Resolve that council opened the meeting for public comments regarding the 2025 municipal operating and capital budget. I'd like to invite Marlene Turner.
I just had a couple more questions. You know how much I love this town.
Yes. And for a long time.
Yeah. I only wish that we had assisted living here. I would go to Marathon, but it's too far. And hopefully the hospital, is into getting on to the long-term care, extension. I didn't realize how much council can affect those things. But apparently in Marathon they have. But anyway, now the long-term care, is proceeding. My other questions were the 3.2, increase. Does that apply to the businesses as well? I presume so.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
So I'm thinking of the few businesses we have left and all the old businesses and the condition of their buildings down. I certainly hate to lose any of them. You know, we only have one hairdresser left. Things are not doing very good in some of the other businesses down there, but yeah, I wasn't sure whether they paid the same increase. So I think for some of them it would be very difficult. But if that's the will of council. Also, as far as getting some money as well as grants, we paid 600,000 towards the Broadview installation. The hospital wanted it as badly as the council did. We paid 600,000 and we were supposed to get some remuneration on that. And there is 30,000 mentioned in the budget. I don't know whether you get that every year or what, but after our paying 600,000, then the federal government started giving communities money for this new internet.
Okay, well, I can report on that. Yes, originally it was the NWMO Wellbeing Fund that helped support $600,000 to get high-speed internet into Manitouwadge at the time, which at the time was the best internet you could get. Just, I think it was last year. Yes, last year, Rogers bought out Northern Broadband Wireless. Through the sale, Manitouwadge was refunded the full 600,000, which is now put into the reserves.
Okay, that's. something
Okay, so that's, yeah, that was,
That makes us feel a lot better.
yes, so that money was not lost. It was used, you know, to
We
get.
didn't anticipate getting it all back. but we
You know
thought-
what? I was hoping to get half and
Yeah,
we ended up getting the whole thing.
well, that's
Minus legal fees, but which is minimal.
encouraging.
Yeah, so this is, you know, there was a lot of hard work put into that, a lot of negotiation. And with that, is also, like, they're also working on the fiber coming into town, Rogers
Yes,
is.
exactly.
So I'm hoping by this fall that we have fiber internet to the homes.
And what is that company?
That's Rogers.
That's Rogers? okay.
Rogers. And Bell, I mean, off topic here
Yeah.
now, but Bell Canada is also bringing fiber in through the lines coming down the highway.
Yeah,
So there's two big companies coming in. So, you know, by this fall, I'm expecting fiber internet galore.
well, that's good to know. Thanks
So,
very much.
all right, thank you. Okay, that's it. Okay, and further that one participant attended to provide input regarding the budget, and further that council will review and take into consideration any public input regarding the budget. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Where we at? Okay. Moved by Councillor Hudson, seconded by Councillor Coddick. Being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Township of Manitouwadge at its special meeting held on Wednesday, July 9th, 2025, be read a first and second time. And furthermore, be read a third time, passed and numbered as bylaw number 2025-25. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Coddick, second by Councillor Hudson, resolved that the special meeting adjourn at the hour of 6:47 PM. All in favor? Carried.